Hey guys, it's Cayley. I'm back with another What Sold video. We are going to be doing a deep dive into what sold last week on the two platforms that I sell the most on, which are eBay and Poshmark. If you're not already on eBay and Poshmark, my links are down below if you would like to get started. We're going to dive right into these sales, talk about how much I made last week, how much it cost me to actually list these items, as well as show you a handful of the items that I sold that you might want to look for. Let's jump in. Okay, so all the sales that you see here happened between January 2nd through January 8th. In total, I sold 107 items between two platforms, eBay and Poshmark. My gross sales were $3,742.53, making my average sale price $34.98. My estimated cost of goods based on an average buy cost was $428 for everything that sold last week, and my estimated net was $2,325.89. On eBay, I sold 70 items. On Poshmark, I sold just 37. Gross sales on eBay were over $2,600 and then just over $1,000 on Poshmark. First up I wanted to show you was this J. McLaughlin women's knee-length dress. J. McLaughlin is a great brand to find when it is paired with a print. That's kind of what they're known for. They're very similar to Lilly Pulitzer, and I really love picking up their items. This I paid $4.99 for, and I sold for $33.25 on an offer. I also sold this Tommy Bahama women's linen dress. I did kind of like an online arbitrage for this. I ended up paying $8.73 after all discounts were said and done from the place I bought this from. It ended up selling for $46.99. I actually really love selling wedding dresses or things that could be considered wedding dresses. They tend to have a really good average sale price. I've even sold vintage ones for hundreds of dollars, so I do keep an eye out for things like that. This is the brand Tory Burch, which is a really nice designer brand. Here is the label. I don't pick up everything Tory Burch, but I will say that when it comes to nicer materials or certain prints, they do sell pretty quickly. This was 100% cashmere, which I think adds value in almost everything. We found this at the bins and were able to clean it up. It did have a slight amount of pilling, and we ended up selling this for $44.96. Next up is this pair of BKE women's jeans. This is the style Peyton. I find that this can do pretty good. I only paid $1 for these jeans, so I was willing to get it and sit on it a little longer. I accepted an offer of $26. BKE is a great brand to pick up, especially in the men's department, but the women's I am a little bit more picky. This is the brand Sandy Starkman. I've only found a couple of her pieces, but they're pretty easy to spot, and both of the ones that I found did sell. The other thing that I sold was also like a jacket kind of thing. This is like a sweater patchwork jacket, and most of her stuff has kind of a carpet bohemian artwear look to it, and I do like picking it up. It's super unique. I paid $4.39 for this. It sold on an offer for $31.38. Found this New York & Company top at the bins, and I decided to take a chance on it because it was 100% leather. It had a front zip, and I thought somebody could use this for a costume or for a really specific outfit. It's not often that you find real leather tops. Usually it's faux leather. I use a couple keywords like biker in there to help sell this, and I am glad I picked it up. Once again, got this at the bins. It sold for full asking price for $39.87. This is the brand Arata Silent Journey. I love finding this brand. I did notice comps on this brand as far as sell-through rate goes have significantly dropped, but I still pick it up because it is super unique and there's somebody out there who wants a unique piece. So I personally can't leave it behind. I paid $4.99 for this one. It sold on an offer for $40, and surprisingly, it actually did not sit for very long. This is a Coach purse that I found at the bins. It had significant water wear. You can see the very distinct marks on the bag. However, I looked up this particular style and it had a really great sell-through rate. It's a very substantial piece because it was a very large tote and it was leather. You can see that I made it very clear that there was quite a bit of wear, but I still took a chance on getting it. It still sold on an offer for $44.89. So if you got something special enough and you look up the style name and you see that a ton of these are selling, you know, for over 100, it might still be worth it to pick it up depending on what the flaw is. This is an interesting pickup. This is the brand Electric Rose. I have never found this before. I'm not sure what the deal is with this, but I just really like the tie-dye print. I found it at the bins and I looked it up, and these were doing really good. I hope I find it again, but I don't know much about this brand. But if you see something that just has a really great style and you see that it's made in the US, I would consider looking it up. I priced mine pretty high. It ended up selling on an offer for $40.39. Here's another Tommy Bahama piece, but it is in the men's department. Pretty much the only thing I pick up Tommy Bahama in men's is the silk or linen shirts. And I can usually get at least $25 even for the plain linen or silk button-up shirts. This one was an extra large tall. It was a multicolor print, and so for that reason I priced it a lot higher, and you can do that when you have a really nice pattern or a larger size. I paid $4.39 for this. This is a pretty tried and true piece for me. It's sold for full asking price $39.88. Cloth & Stone is another one of those brands that I feel like the comps don't show a great sell-through rate, but I have never had a problem moving it. This is also a size extra small, which is, in my opinion, not a great size to pick up, but this was a tinsel, that's the material, a tinsel lyocell top. Cloth & Stone uses really nice cottons and tinsels, and they're just known for being very simplistic in that way, and I find that they have a following. I actually think that they do better on Poshmark than eBay, but this one ended up selling on eBay. I paid $4.39 for it. It sold for $29.89, which was my full asking price. This is the brand J. Jill. I do really like this brand. Mostly these days, I would say we focus on the linen pieces. This was 100% linen, and it was a longer knee length to midi dress. This is like classic, the piece I would really love to pick up in this brand if I had a choice. And so anything linen I'm picking up from J. Jill. I paid $4.39 for it. It sold on an offer for $35.90. This is just by the brand Gap. Gap is, it's actually Gap Outlet. There's 3 dots here. This is a men's pair of cargo shorts. I only looked at these because they are camo cargo shorts, and that combination of features tends to do well in just about any brand. Paid $4.39 for it. It sold for our full asking price of $29.99. Here's something I'm also keeping an eye out for all the time, which is women's skirts. So skirt is a skirt that has shorts underneath. This was by the brand Vineyard Vines, and it had some nice golf tee prints all throughout. I paid $4.99 for this. I could not find this exact one with this print, so I actually priced mine a little bit higher because I thought it might have more value, and it ended up selling for a full asking price of $29.99. Here's another kind of athletic-y item. These are very tried and true for me. I definitely can't sell them for as much as I used to, but they flip almost immediately after listing them, so I do like picking them up at the bins, and that is Nike Pro women's spandex shorts. You can see these have a little bit of a nicer print to them. Typically the plain colored ones I can only get about 15 for, but the print, or if it's a larger size, I can usually get $20, $25. This sold pretty quickly for our full asking price of $19.87. This is something else I found at the bins. It is a pair of men's Supima cotton boxer briefs, and this was really easy to look up because it was brand new in packaging. I simply scanned this and was able to figure out that it had a pretty good sell-through rate. Just in general, Supima cotton does pretty well for me. So I got these at the bins. I priced them at $24.87. They sold very quickly for full asking price. This is just Eddie Bauer, not typically a brand that I would pick everything up in, but this was 100% merino wool, great material, great size in a men's extra extra large, and it had that Fair Isle really nice color print to it. And so for all of those reasons, I decided to get it because of the factor stacking. I paid $4.99. It sold very quickly for our full asking price of $34.87, which is, I priced a little bit up just because of all of the factors. These are a pair of Nike Shox, definitely a style I would look for in Nike. You can see these Shox right here. These had a little bit of wear to them, but were in pretty good condition still. One thing you want to check when you come across Shox is that there isn't dry rot, like these are not coming apart from the shoe. Nike Shox are pretty hard to find, but they are highly sought after. I picked these up at the bins. I think people didn't want them because they had a little bit of wear to them, but I know that they're super valuable, so I picked them up. I had these listed for $39.87. They sold on an offer for $35.88. Here's another pair of shoes I found at the bins. I've actually been finding quite a few of this particular style, which I call like primitive or a T-strap is what somebody else said. I don't know, but whatever the style is has been performing extremely well for me in leather shoes. This particular brand is Naot, N-A-O-T, which I find does perform pretty well. Yeah, just look for this style. I don't know what else to say about it. I got them at the bins. They sold on an offer for $35.89. Would definitely keep your eye out for this. This is a great brand to sell during the winter. It is Spider. This is actually a boys jacket, size 12. Got this because it was a great brand, great substantial piece, and it had color blocking and was in pretty good condition. We paid $4.99 for this. I like picking up kids stuff jackets because it's priced a lot lower than the adult pieces. So we only paid $5 for this. It's sold for our full asking price already of $39.87. This is the brand Hanes, and this is a vintage Precious Moments sweatshirt. It was really unique and cute. I did see that Precious Moments vintage sweatshirts had a really great sell-through rate, but I could not find this exact photo, this exact sweatshirt. I priced mine kind of according to the market. I feel like I definitely could have gotten more for this, but I wasn't sure what to do because I didn't see this exact picture. So I priced with my gut, which was $34.87, and that's typically what I'll price a vintage sweatshirt at if I'm unsure. It sold very quickly on an offer to watchers for $31.38. Next up is another bins find. This is the brand Arc'teryx. I would pick up anything in this brand if it was in good condition. I was really surprised to find this at the bins. Also in a great size, a men's size extra extra large. This brand has an amazing sell-through rate. Look for this little fossil logo right here. It sells very quickly. I priced mine according to market at $59.87, and it sold within days. This is a Patagonia, definitely a brand I like looking for. If you find this particular style, it's called the Better Sweater, and you can find that by looking up the style number on the inside, but it's also pretty easy to just spot a sweater kind of jacket. The Better Sweaters still have a pretty good sell-through rate. Mine I priced for $39.91. It sold for full asking price, and I originally paid $4.39. This is a men's Lululemon piece. Here's the logo. I'm sure you guys know Lululemon, but I always like to bring up the men's pieces because a lot of people don't realize that they make men's pieces, or even if you find them in the women's section, you might not realize that it could be men's. For me, the men's actually do better than the women's and sell for more. I paid $4.39 for this, and it sold for an offer of $44.92. This is another men's piece. This is the brand Hawk & Co. Not a brand I would commit to memory. However, this was a down puffer jacket, and anything filled with down I'm looking up, especially when it's ribbed or quilted. That tends to add value. Also a size large. Again, just stacking on those factors to make for a good sale. I paid $6.99 for this. It sold for full asking price of $29.91. Not a whole lot of profit, but still a quick flip. This was probably my favorite sale last week, only because I almost passed this up at the bins. I did not know of this brand, but the only reason I looked it up was because the tag was tacked on the sides instead of being sewn in. Atelier Delphine, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. It was a very kind of like oversized login look style, which is why I originally grabbed it. I also like the rust look color. After looking this up, I figured out that it was called the Haori house coat, and really great sell-through rate, pretty rare to find, but I'm going to be on the lookout for stuff like this more often. I priced mine for $149.91. I picked it up at the bin, so probably only cost me a few bucks, and it sold very quickly for my full asking price. Can't beat that sale. Moving on to Poshmark, I sold what I think is the very last, I keep saying that every video, but I'm almost positive now that this actually is the last one of those suspenders that I found at the bins. This is the brand Brooks Brothers. What you want to look for in suspenders is the leather ends, and then, you know, try to find your brand, but Brooks Brothers has a really great sell-through rate in suspenders. So picked up at the bins, paid by the pound. It sold for full asking price of $35 on Poshmark. This was an interesting find, probably my second favorite sale last week. This is the brand Butterfly Dropout, and I only looked it up because it was so unique and the tag looked really interesting. And some of these like hippie, artsy brands do pretty good. This kind of reminded me of Ed Hardy, which I think is what caught my eye, and it had some really nice graphics on the back. I found not this exact one, but a lot of these tops just sell for crazy amounts of money on eBay. So I tried to price mine a little bit in the middle. I paid $4.39 for this. It sold for $60. This is a pair of shoes. I paid $4.99 for these. Once again, I'm always looking up the style name of the shoes. And once again, you can find it by looking at the style number, which is inside the tag here, and searching that on Google. So these were called the Nike Air Presto women's shoes, size 10. These did take a little while to sell, but I am glad I picked them up because they sold for $50. This is another Eddie Bauer piece, again with the down jackets, so it's filled with down feathers. Eddie Bauer is a good brand to pair with down, and once again, you know, it's puffer. Also like to mention that fur hoods also add value, so all of those things stacked together, I definitely picked this up. I paid $4.99 for this. It sold for $59. This is another Lululemon piece, however this one's women's. This one was called the All the Right Places legging, and I was able to figure that out because on the size dot on the inside you can actually Google search these numbers to get the exact style, which I think is pretty important with this brand because just looking at these, I could have just looked up women's black leggings and saw some selling for $25 and listed them for $25. However, because I looked up that style, I knew that they were called the All the Right Places leggings, and I was able to price them accordingly. They sold for $51 versus the $25 I probably would have listed them at had I not looked up that style name. Another great high price sale. This is the brand Alafos. This was my first time finding this brand, size extra large. I looked this up because it had a Nordic multicolor pattern on it with a fur hood. It was just very Nordic, Fair Isle vibes, and it was wool, also made in Iceland. And that's usually a good indicator of something that you should pick up if it's wool and it's made in Iceland or Ireland or places where it's cold, because it's typically a high quality item. Then add on top of that the really nice print, and you've got yourself a pretty valuable item. So I kind of had to make up a price on this. I paid $5.99 for this, and I priced mine high. It sold very quickly for $75, which I thought was an outstanding return on investment. This is the brand Adriana Goldschmied. I've been coming across this a lot recently. I pretty much never pick up the women's unless it's a very specific style, but the men's Adriana Goldschmied jeans do pretty good. These were called the Everett Slim Straights, and they tend to have a pretty good sell-through rate in that style. Pretty much every style in this brand in men's has a pretty good sell-through rate, but just always double check. I paid $4.39. It sold for $42. Here is a Woolrich piece, once again pairing wool with a great brand. Woolrich, as the name would lead you to believe, is known for its wool pieces. And I thought this was a really interesting sweater. It had some decorative buttons, which we probably, looking back, should have gotten a close-up of those buttons just to really sell it. But regardless, it still sold. It was a really nice emerald green with this kind of what looks like almost bird's eye print. If you've seen some of my videos on the bird's eye LL Bean sweaters, you'll know what I'm talking about. This isn't exactly bird's eye, but that's what drew my attention to it. And so really great print to pick up. I paid $4.39. It sold for $34. This is a wonderful brand to pick up in the men's department. It is Billy Reid. I've actually been finding quite a bit of Billy Reid lately. I found this one for $2 at the bins. I estimate paying $2 because it was kind of heavy. It's a quilted pullover sweater, and everything I've ever comped in this brand has done really well. So definitely recommend picking up Billy Reid. I priced mine, I think, at maybe 50 or 60 bucks and accepted an offer of 46. This is an Athleta pair of leggings. Once again, kind of like Lululemon, I do think sometimes it's important to look up the style. These ones are really nice because I actually didn't have to search it. It already said the Elation Camo Tight. And if I haven't already said before, but I'm pretty sure I have, camo is a very popular print. I find that it adds tremendous value to a lot of things, especially in the athletic wear category. I paid $4.99 for these. They sold very quickly for $40. Next up is this Aloe Yoga women's, what would I call this? A poncho jacket. This was an odd piece. That's why I can't really think of what I would call it. It's kind of halfway a sweatshirt. It has like a built-in scarf, but it's a poncho. I don't know, but it's outerwear by the brand Aloe Yoga. I almost accidentally passed on this because I didn't realize it said aloe down below, and then realized it did and looked it up. So ALO, you can kind of see the emblem right here. Definitely a brand that I recommend. This is one I tend to go against the comps on because if you look up Aloe Yoga leggings, let's say on eBay, you don't always see the best sell-through rate, but it performs extremely well for me. So as long as it's in good condition, I will pick it up, but I would highly recommend the outerwear for sure. So I paid $4.39 for this, and it sold for $45. This is a pair of Harley boots. I actually picked this up from the case at Goodwill, and they had it priced high for $12.99. I thought 13 bucks, I could at least get 50 for them, and flip them very quickly. Harley boots still do really good, and these have a nice buckle style to them with a very contrasting emblem. This is like pretty classic of Harley Davidson, and so I picked up this piece for 13 bucks. Sold very quickly. I accepted an offer of $55 to go ahead and move them. And lastly was a brand I've mentioned before and you guys seem to have interest in. It is Jamie Sadock. This is an older label by Jamie Sadock, but I still like picking up this brand even in the older labels. It is a women's golf wear brand, and for me it sells extremely well. And just to look at it, you wouldn't think that it has a following because they're pretty plain for the most part, but keep your eye out for this because this brand can do really good. I paid $4.39 for it, and it sold for $34 on Poshmark. Alright guys, so that's it for the What Sold Last Week video. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. Drop a comment down below. Let me know how sales are going for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.